So it's another day, and I decided to rearrange my shelves all over again because not only am I getting the TBR ready for Trash Pandas Read Diversely, which I now move to my coffee table because my writing desk was getting a little bit overweighted and I didn't want to break it. I picked out I still have 4 out of 5 books picked. One moved up. So Priory of the Orange Tree is now first. City of Brass is second, and then Serpent and the Wing of Night is third. And Heaven's Official Blessings is number 4. I don't own that book, but I will get it to do the 5 TBR that my audience picks for me. I am still missing one, so if you guys can go to that video and upvote one of the ones that has 2 likes on it. I had a bunch that were just 1 like, and then they went up. Like, I had 3 books in the comment section that went up by 1, so now I have another tie where it's like 3 different books that are up liked by 2, and I need 1 to go up to 3 so I can finally pick my TBR. But I wanted to show you guys a few books that I still need to get back to. I stopped reading these, and there are a few books. I got 2 books that were book ferried. I started a series and I didn't finish it. So these books are going to be like a mix of all that. So I started The Chaos Wielder, but I got a little overwhelmed by it. I still need to finish this. It was getting good, and then I got a little bit overwhelmed by it. Broken Blade. I started it, and they used the word smirk a little bit too much in the first chapter, to the point that I was like, I need a break from this after chapter 2, and I wasn't feeling it. I might get back into it. I might like it eventually. It feels like a series that I am going to like. I just need to push through it. But I'm gonna save that for another day where I have the mental stability to push through books. I started Heartstopper for volume 5, but it was getting, for YA content, it was getting a little too mature for me. So I was like, I feel weird reading this, so I'm gonna stop reading it. I'll get back to it eventually, but if it was adult content, then I'd be okay with it. But since it's YA, I felt a little weird reading it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put a pause on that. The Last Sun, I started reading a chapter of it, and that book also overwhelmed me. There was a lot of action, and I like fast-paced stories. I like medium-paced, to be honest, where it's like fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow. Like rising action, falling action, rising action, falling action. This kind of just was a heavy hitter, and I was like, oh, I got whiplash. Like, this started heavy, so I feel like I need a whole day just to binge this in order to read these, which it wasn't it was getting really interesting, but it was just one of those things where I'm like, I need all my attention and focus to read these. Ruin and Rising, I got like 5 hours into the audiobook, and I already don't really like Shadow and Bone as a series. I feel like in middle school I would have loved it. I love Six of Crows. Six of Crows is amazing. But Ruin and Rising and Shadow and Bone in general, I realized that it's her first series, and she put a lot of effort into it. And she has a lot of world building that I love. And I don't mind the main character. It's just a lot of the story elements feel like they could just be solved by Deus Ex Machinas, and I wasn't vibing with the story, but I do eventually want to get into King of Scars, so I have to get back to that. The Long Way to a Small and Angry Planet, I got halfway through this. I put a pause to it because it was a lot of world building. It was really interesting. I was like writing down a bunch of notes, but it felt like homework, so I am eventually going to borrow the audiobook from the library and finish it one day. I know that I am going to probably enjoy this, especially if I continue the series. It's just, it was a lot of world building for one book, and I don't think I was mentally ready for that book at the time that I was reading it. I think I just needed a palate cleanser book, or a book that I could just like turn off my brain. Double Stuffed and Goat Girl. So I was gifted these by the author, and I absolutely love Stuffed, but I want the book to end, and I don't want the story to end. And I rated Stuff the 5 out of 5 because just for vibes alone, like that book was pretty good. And I really don't want the book to end, so I kind of like put this on a pause. Goat Girl is interesting. It's about a literal goat girl, so I am wanting to get into that as well. I am also waiting for the audiobook for Double Stuffed. Like I said, I got into audiobooks, and then now my brain just doesn't have the attention span to like really read books anymore. I'll look at a page and then I'll just be like, I can't read this. I can't read this at all. Little Life, I said this one was going to be my TBR for all of 2024, and it is going to be my TBR for 2024 because I started it and I was listening to a few hours of it, and it was Depresso Espresso, and I don't know. I don't know if I have time for that in my life. I don't know if, yeah. And then Blood of Elves. I like the Witcher series. I like the world building, but I feel like there's so many monologues, like monologue, that it could just easily be condensed. These books are way too long, and they were given too much page count. And I know that like in the older days, like of publishing, they had to like really make their money by having word count. And you could tell he was trying to make his money with that word count, because Lord, there's a lot of monologues, and it's rough. I love like the main storyline, and I wish that it was condensed a little bit more. If it was like 200 pages and they came out with a condensed edition, then I would absolutely love it and it would be perfect. But I needed to put a pause because I was like, oh my god, they keep droning on. And then the action scenes were so short and so few, and like it's just, there wasn't enough meat. There's just a lot of words and a lot of wah 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 wah. It's like, stop talking. I'm tired of talking. Please stop talking. I never finished the Lunar Chronicles. I still have the fourth one. I reread all of the books up to Cress, and I stopped again where I stopped in middle school and in high school, because I had read those throughout high school. Was it high school or middle school? High school, I think. So I am on the last one. I never got to it because it was a lot for me at the time. It was a lot of pages, and I wasn't used to big books, and now I kind of am. So I have to do like a recap of the rest of the series. I'm not going to reread it. I am going to just do a recap of the rest of the series, and then I'm going to try to get into this one eventually. I want to finish it at least this year. And then another one, Don't Come For Me. I started this one, and this one was another one like The Last Sun, where there's a lot. There's a lot of world building, and I kind of want to hyper focus, and you can't really do anything when you're reading this, because it's kind of like the world building is constantly building upon itself, and it's pretty cool, but if you're distracted, you can miss something. And this is one of those books where I'm like, okay, I need to sit down. I just need to sit down, read this one day when I have a little bit of time, and just let it all simmer in. Then I got Book Fairy, these two books. This one, Reads with Rachel, said that it was really good. So, and it has shadow magic. So I was like, okay, I want to read Fairy Born. This was my first ever Book Fairy, and it was from Stella Lunar. If you can go follow her, go follow her. And this was Yumi and the Night Painter. Somebody said they really enjoyed my videos, and it's still a mystery book fairy. It was from Kristen, and I tried to like tag her in the video, but I couldn't find any Kristens in my followings, or there might have been too many to the point where I was like, oh, I don't know who gifted me this, but I was really grateful because I was like, oh, this is such a pretty book and it has such pretty artwork. So I have to get to these at least this year. I am 100% getting to these this year in between my TBR. And before I run out of time, I changed up my coffee table. I ran out of room on my actual writing desk. So this is how my coffee table looks again. I just did it a little bit different with like divider books in between. And this is kind of my March TBR. I have some extra books in there. Then my April, I'm missing a few books. May, I have it right here. And then those books over there, it starts with Iron Widow. I have some other books in between. So I have all those. And then I have my miscellaneous stuff over here with me and my fiance's little journey box. And then I have those books over there. These are the books you guys picked. This is a buddy read I'm going to do. This is another buddy read I'm going to do. This is what my writing desk looks like right now.